Friday, so it's been a long weekend. I actually went to bed fairly early Friday night, planning on getting up and taking this thing out to a beach cleanup, the North Spit in North Bend, Oregon. I wanted to get up early and get out there to start that. And I went to bed about 9 o'clock Friday night, and I ended up getting a phone call about 10:30. I actually reached up and hit the old button and then couldn't get back to sleep, thinking my 16-year-old's not home. Might have been him. So I looked at my phone and it was, so I texted him what, and he says, well, I'm stuck up in a mud hole and my Jeep won't start. I'm like, nice. So I ended up getting up, getting dressed. I ended up jumping in the Jeep, headed out to where he was at, which is about half an hour away. And he literally had water up to both of his front and back bumpers, and the ground was level with the windows, at least on one side of the Jeep. I don't know about, I didn't go to the passenger side. And it was dark, it was raining, and even I had problems with this thing. This thing has lunchbox lockers. I think it's a Spartan in one and an Aussie in the other. It doesn't have super aggressive tires, but it does have mud tires. It's got 488 gears. And even I was having problems trying to get out of the ruts over to where I could try to pull with the winch to get him out, because I didn't know how else to get him out because it was so slimy, and he had no power because the engine wouldn't run. So I get him pulled out, we get a strap on it, we get him turned around, and I pulled the plugs, and there was a lot of water in there, and it kind of went clankety clank and then didn't do anything. So it was a long tow home, trying to get him home. He doesn't have a tow bumper or anything, or a winch bumper, so it was throw a strap under the axle and head home. And then there's some steep hills coming off the mountains that I actually made him get out and get into this, and it was, I mean, hardly no brakes, hardly no steering, and it's windy and all asphalt, but it's windy and steep headed down. So I didn't get any tear down. I ended up getting upset. Well, I got home at 1:30, and by the time I rinsed off my straps and got stuff hanging up so they would dry and I could throw them back in here for Saturday, it was probably 2 o'clock, and then I couldn't get to sleep. And I may have got a couple hours sleep by the time I was up at 6. So I did go out to that event. I'm sure everybody was wanting me to stay here and work on this thing, but I've been planning on that and telling people I was going to go for a couple months now. So even though I was dog tired, I got up and went and did it anyways. And it was pretty good turnout, I think. The way they were talking, they were only expecting about 20, 30 people, and I think about 150 people is what ended up showing up. So luckily they brought enough food and fed everybody, and we got I think it was a 30-yard dumpster completely full, and then probably about a quarter to half of a dump truck full of garbage just from that one area. So anyways, I came home, the kid come out, the wife's uncle come over, and we just started ripping and tearing. As far as videos, I did try to video when I was pulling it out and that stuff, but it was so dark that nothing was showing up. We do have some LED headlights on these things, but we don't have light bars and extra lights or anything, so nothing really showed up. And then as far as tearing this thing apart yesterday, again, I was kind of zombified. I told the wife's uncle, I said, you have the kid do whatever you think needs to do, and I'm just going to do whatever I could come up with, because I was barely alive. But we did start tearing into this thing. Well, actually, before we started tearing into it, I never even looked down here, but the wife's uncle looked down here, and let's see. Oh yeah, might have some problems there. There's a big old hole in the the oil pan, and that's when we decided that we just need to start tearing this thing completely apart. So we haven't pulled the pan off of it yet, but we did tear all of this off of it, the head, intake, exhaust, and this piston right here. If I get it back out of there, maybe. The rod's broke on it. That's, yeah. So, I don't know. The piston doesn't look too bad. Inside the wall here, we don't have, the only thing is right down on the bottom. So this piston sits in here like this. So it'd be right at the bottom, down in here somewhere. There's at the very bottom, you're probably not gonna be able to see it, but there is a mark right there. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to clean that up and polish her out or not. But we went ahead and pulled everything off the front just to make everything easier to get into. We really didn't know if we was pulling the engine or if we're going to be able to repair it. So this is where we're at for now. Like I said, unfortunately, I didn't do well, I didn't do any videoing until now because really I'm so tired, and like I said, I had 2 or 3 people running around here and they were probably wanting to wait for me to slow them down for doing any camera work. But yeah, we got the head. The head's over here, sitting on this piece of cardboard. I really didn't look at the bottom of it, but they did say that it didn't look that bad. Okay, so we're going to start pulling the oil pan out of this Jeep. I was doing this a little sooner than what I planned on doing. I'm going to start here with the starter and pull the starter off. I don't know if I could pull it off and just set it off to the side without unhooking it completely. It's a 14 millimeter here. Oh, the other bolt comes in from the back. I might need a shorter socket. And oh, that's all right. And a bigger socket. 14 millimeters, not going in there. Let's see if I got a wrench here. Yep, I gotta grab a short 15 millimeter. Try this. reason for pulling this apart right now is the kid went through a water hole, sucked up a bunch of water, and broke a rod, #1 cylinder. Oh, there's more water. And there's water in everything. It's a good idea when you tear stuff apart, just go ahead and stick all the bolts back in where they came out of. Especially if you haven't done this a lot and you don't know where things might go later when you got to do it again and put it back together. Okay, now I'm going to pull this cover off just for, I don't know if it has to come off or not. Wow. They didn't want that falling out. I think. Wow. Oh, it's got a nut on the other side. No wonder. I've had mine off before. I don't think it has a nut on the other side like that. Maybe it does. Let's see. 18. The exhaust is already loose because everything's torn apart up above. Oh, now I'm going the wrong way. It's a good thing that's not on camera. Oh, there's another bolt up in there. Wow. Never worked on this thing last. Wanted to make sure things were tight. I don't think some of this needs to be that tight. Oh, there's another one there. And I need a wrench for that one. 13. Oh, man. Someone didn't want that cover to fall off there, that's for sure. All these bolts, other than that line, so all these bolts hold is just this little tin cover. They made it tight. Put that back in there. I'll put this one back in over here. I don't know, these might be in the way of the oil pan when we're pulling it off, but we can remove them then. Okay. So we have somewhere up here, it looks like a bracket there that holds the lines, and another bracket up there that holds the lines,
But it looks like, well, both of those come off with the oil pan bolts, so figure out what size these bolts are. We'll start pulling some stuff out. This thing's been draining since last night, so there shouldn't be a whole lot in it. Looks like the oil pan bolts are an 11. I'm gonna grab a longer extension. I grabbed a new bucket here to drop bolts into. Start zipping these out of here. I could do this with an air tool. Maybe I should, but then it'd be noisy. I guess I could pull them out and just fast forward through it all. Coming out of here pretty easy. They made those different sizes. Hopefully if you're doing this on your back like me, you either have a little bit of lift and some bigger tires, or some car ramps or something to lift the front end up, make it a little easier to access a lot of this. Just held in there. Yeah, something was holding it in there. And then there's a strap that goes around the back of the oil pan. The other bolt. Okay. Might be able to go up front, do the rest of this, I don't know. So now we're up to the front here. My battery's about ready to go dead. We'll see if we get some of these front ones out of here. Okay, so here's the one thing that sparked a lot of interest in my channel, and I think some of the other stuff that I've been posting on was the oil pan don't just come out of here. And there was something about lift. There was something about removing the engine mounts, which I have not. I don't know, that engine mount almost looks, there's a gap on the bottom down there for some reason, but the engine mounts are still in it. Oh, maybe it's just the way they're spaced. I don't have it picked up at all. This does have 4.5 inches of suspension lift. God, that light, bigger tires luckily, so I get underneath here, but I pulled the last bolt out. My camera died on me. Or I pulled the last bolt out. And looks like it fell right out of there. Now we got to figure out. It wasn't want to turn over all that well. But yeah, there's the oil pan. It's got a little water in it. Got a little hole in it. Yeah, so I'm gonna turn this off for a minute and see if I can see what's going on in there. Why this thing don't want to rotate over easy, and we'll be back. Okay, so we're back at it again. I pulled the oil pan off this thing, and for some reason, this thing don't want to spin over very easy. It spins over a little bit, back and forth. Loosened up a little bit. I poured some oil down into it. But you get to a certain spot, then all of a sudden it wants to get tight. There, it got tight and the nut just come loose, or the bolt just come loose down here. So when I was underneath, because I couldn't move it at all up here, when I went down underneath, I started to, I took a pry bar down to the flywheel, and that's how I got it to start moving. And I noticed that when I was doing that, the cam didn't look like it was moving at all, because you can see the cam from underneath, and it didn't look like it was turning at all. So I wonder if something come loose in here and it's binding up. Maybe, I don't know if the chain broke or what happened, but I think normally with everything apart, you should be able to turn some of this by hand, or at least with the wrench here, and that's not happening. So I'm going to start pulling all of this apart and see what we can find in there. And I think this is keywayed. This is stuff, this engine work's not something that I've done a lot myself. I suppose you need a puller for that. I don't know, let me think about this for a minute. Alrighty, so I'm back again, trying to get into the, I believe the timing chain might be broken, this thing. And I started this already, but I had to start over again because I didn't have a puller to get the balancer off. So I went to Harbor Freight, I picked this thing up. I think it was pretty cheap, I don't remember the exact cost on it. And here's what it all comes with. I'm having a hard time figuring out what bolts these are. It doesn't really tell you what thread pitches and each bolts are. Because I tried to get a tap here and tap out the threads in this balancer. But here's what I got. I suppose if you have to ever do this, you could probably do it without tearing all this apart. Well, actually, I think you gotta get the radiator out of your way. But anyways, I already put it on here and I believe it's starting to move. I had a heck of a time trying to figure out what these threads are, though. I don't know if anybody knows. But if I get this camera to stay here, see if we get it the rest of the way off. I think the end of this is a 14. I'm having to reach underneath and hold the lines. There it goes. It's got a keyway. You want to make sure you don't lose the key still in the crank. But it's got a keyway, so it only goes on one way. And I think, I don't know, I think this thing might be getting a little shot. The rubber, there's rubber in between these two pieces, and it's looking pretty shot. So we'll see what happens here. We may have to replace that. Okay. I guess we'll start pulling the rest of this apart. I like how they got 10 different sizes of bolts on here. Nuts. Those are 14, these are 15. So if you ever have to pull one of these off like this and you haven't done it before, the way you do it, and you don't have air tools, is you would put a pry bar in here, lock this, and then break them loose like that, and they'll all come out. But I'm not going to do that with all of them right now. I'm just going to take them out with the air gun. Crank it all. Looks like the oil pan has to come off for the, we already have it off, but it looks like it has to come off if you ever do this, to get the timing cover off. Goes, and none of that's broke. Oh, yep, we broke. Snap the crank, or snap the cam, sorry. Cam's broke. Yup. We got some. Oh, there's a lifter. The lifter fell out up here, but the cam is Snapple. So that's why the cam wasn't broken. I don't know if that's why it wasn't turning over. Guess we'll stick the bolt back in it and see if it'll crank over. Nope. Nope, it don't want to make a full revolution. It's stuck now. Oh, I'll get back down there and look, see if I can find something else.
All right, so if you've stuck around to this point, first off, thanks for sticking around and watching. The other thing is everything that you've seen up to this point in the video was recorded last week. So weeks gone by, new week started, and so where I left off was I pulled the I ended up pulling the cam gear, and the crank was, or the cam was broke off. I think the reason why that probably broke off is because of what was left of the rod on piston 1 on the crank probably spun around, come up and smacked that and broke it's what I'm assuming. So for some reason I don't have any of the video after that. What I did was I started pulling pistons, because even after that I tried rotating the crank around and it was still hard to rotate around. So I started with, well, the rest of what was left of number 1, and I got that out of there. Something to keep in mind, and I'm no expert at this, but if you're watching this and it's your first time and you plan on doing something like this, you need to keep an eye on these the rod and the cap here. I don't know if you'll be able to see, there's some marks on here that match up just on the one side. So you want to keep those marks together when you pull these apart, and that tells you which way the cap's supposed to go back on. And then I end up taking and took a punch and punched all of the bottoms of the caps. This one here, you could barely see it, but there's only one on this one. So I did 1 on 1, 2 on 2, 3 on 3, and down the row. That way you kind of know which hole they come out of. And then there's also marks on the pistons themselves that tell you which direction the piston goes back in when you stick it in, whether it's this way or this way. You have an arrow and FRT, which is, I'm assuming, front. So that'd be the front of the engine. So you kind of keep all that stuff. Yeah, here's number 6. So I got it marked, and then I got the caps, or the cap and the rod back in there. And yeah. So anyways, I ended up pulling all those out. I got everything lined up here from number 1. All of my lifters lined up, all of the pistons lined up except for what's on the table. And then here's all my rockers and lifters, or my rockers and my push rods, lifters, pistons. The reason why nothing will rotate over is because, well, number 6 is a little wonky now. So yeah, this thing rotates over, the crank rotates over nice and easy now. I haven't really inspected it to see if there's any other real damages or cleaned anything up. I'm at this point in time, I really don't even know what we're going to do with this thing. I don't have the funds at the moment to either buy an engine from a wrecking yard or to buy the parts alone. I think I'm gonna have to send some of this stuff off to a machine shop because, well, these rods and the wrist pins the rods have to be heated, and I don't know if they cool the wrist pin to put all that together. I'm not sure if that's something you could attempt to do yourself. I know when you get them in there, you got to be quick and you got to get it right in there centered and exactly where it's supposed to be. If you don't, then I don't even know how you get them apart, honestly. But if you have to get in there and try to heat the rods to get them off, or how you get them off without screwing everything up. But so, because I know you can reuse the rods, but yeah, that's where I'm at now. We're just waiting we might be waiting for a paycheck or two and collect some parts or find another wrecking yard engine. So anyways, thanks for sticking around. If you stuck around, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found something interesting. If you got any comments or questions, leave them down in the comments. And hopefully you'll like and subscribe, and I'll start working on finding something else to work on. So till next time.